Hey floss tubers, this is my first ever video. My name's Teresa and I've acquired a name from my husband, Little Stitcher. So I'm now Teresa Little Stitcher. So just to give you some background, I'm new to cross stitching. And when I say new, I mean like really new, like 7 months new. And up until September 2014, I didn't have a clue about cross stitch. I'd never done cross stitch, and to be honest, I didn't have time for cross stitch. I was either working or training or running or going to the gym. I've got a wonderful husband and a 15-year-old daughter that I contend with, as well as working up in London. So I do a 4-hour commute every day on top of a normal day. So as you can imagine, normally there's no time for stuff such as hobbies. The only hobby I had was keeping fit. Unfortunately, back in September 2014, I'm not quite sure how it happened, but I herniated a disc in my neck and ruptured and impinged one of my nerves. So basically, I've been either housebound, bedridden, and unable really to do anything since then. It's very difficult for someone who's as active and busy and has a busy life like I do to all of a sudden not have or be able to do anything. And the fact that I was in so much pain, and all the time that I didn't use, I had really bad referred pain. So, the pins and needles and electric shocks into your arm and bits and pieces. So there was a lot of medication. So I spent most of my time spaced out my face. But decided that I found the more I focused on stuff, the less painful it felt. So I decided that I needed something that didn't require any real movement to be able to sort of work myself through this for as long as it took to work through it. Easier said than done. There's not really a lot of things that you can do if you can't really do anything. And the boredom was immense. I can't even describe how bored I was. I got bored of myself, I got bored of sleeping. So I was, just checking out YouTube, and all of a sudden I saw a cross stitch YouTube video. Instantly, the first thought was, well, that's what old ladies do. Old ladies did that when I was little. I remember my nan talking about her friends used to do needlework and cross stitch. And anyway, I just clicked on it. I didn't have anything else to do. And all of a sudden, there was this whole new world of cross stitch and a cross stitch, heaven for young people, older people. It was quite enlightening that, cross stitch had sort of gone from being what I considered to be something my nan would used to do or her friends used to do, to this network and social sort of group. So I watched a bit more, and slowly but surely when they started showing up, holding up their pictures and they're like whips, and I was like, oh my God, look at that, that's amazing. And I'm thinking, well, how hard can that be? Well, all I can say to you guys is thank you so much. Coming from somewhere where I know no one that does cross stitch, no one. I don't have a clue about cross stitch. I had no idea how you do it, what you do it with, how you and all I can say is it's only thanks to your videos that I'd even know as much as I know now, which is not very a lot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm really experienced and I've done all this, that and the other, because I haven't. And it's been fun sometimes. So first of all, I thought, well, I need to watch some YouTube videos, see how it's done. So obviously you went on to the basic, beginner's guide, idiot guide which is fine because they say, it's just little crosses. And I get that, it is just little crosses, but it's all the other stuff. Like when they start talking about aiders and even weave and flosses. I mean, not flosses. Let's talk flosses, okay? You guys are immense. I mean, some of the videos that just pop into my head at the first thought, and once I watch one, I had to watch all of their videos. Miss Milky Bucket, she's amazing. You are amazing. The flosses, and the way you describe it all, and the fact that you do make it sound like, well, it is that simple. They're just little crosses. It's not that hard. Don't overcomplicate it. Every time I got stuck, I would think, think about what she said. It is just little crosses. Don't overcomplicate things. So, Miss Milk Kid, and is it Caroline Mazzio? I'm sorry if I've said your name wrong. But those two specifically, I watched them and I was wowed by the whole thing. So I thought, how hard can this be? My husband, in his wisdom, decided that because I was watching all these YouTube videos about cross-stitch, and he sort of agreed, it would be good for you to do something while you're just sort of laying in bed or sitting in the sofa before, other than sleeping. So he took me for a little jaunt to Hobbycraft, which is quite a way away from here. We've gone into Hobbycraft. Well, yes, they had kits, but they were, I didn't have a clue what I was looking at. And I thought, well, I don't want something that just looks like a little elephant that you give to a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old to do, to sort of try it. Because I know I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be interested in it. It needed to be something that I thought, oh, wow, that's nice, or that's pretty. It's a typical girl thing. So the kits really didn't sort of float my boat, so to speak. But my husband picked one up and said, well, why don't you try something like this? He said, it looks pretty simple. So I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. Because as he said, you don't need to worry about what you need. He said, because it all comes in this little kit. So the first kit that I ever got was a dimensions kit, county cross stitch, called House Mouse Designs. I'll show you. You see that? So I saw that and I thought, well, that can't be very hard, surely. And the whole thing comes as a pack, so that would be easy. No, that isn't that easy. I opened the pack. I mean, I didn't know what Ada was. I did once I got it out, but then I did watch some more YouTube videos, and everyone was saying you need to, make sure it doesn't fray around the edges, so you need to put something around the edges. I didn't have anything around the edges. And I can't say my hand sewing is really sort of rocking along. And I hadn't got my sewing machine out in years, because I think my nan got it for me when I was, about 20-something. And I used it a couple of times to make some sort of curtainy things, and other than that, it sort of stayed in its little bag and it's not really moved. But I didn't have anything, so I used masking tape. In fact, it's not even masking tape, it's brown paper bag tape. In fact, it's that bad, it's this. And I thought, well, surely it doesn't matter about the edges. Do you know what? I'm so pleased that this didn't go so well, because I look at this now and I'm like, oh my God, did I really put brown box tape around it? So anyway, I've got it home. I've opened the kit up. The chart seemed pretty easy. It didn't look overly complicated. However, the flosses were all separate. They were just like a bundle of floss. It took me hours to just sit and go through this floss. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Then I watched yet again another YouTube video where someone said, you can easily make your own little, floss holders, like with a bit of cardboard. So, I did that. By the time I actually got to the stitching, to be honest, I was like, wow, this is really difficult, because it's all sort of lots of, I thought it would come all pre-ready for me. So anyway, we started. It didn't go well, if I'm honest. That's where I got to. It doesn't look that great, does it? I'm not quite sure what happened. Found the middle of the fabric, thought I was doing okay. I snagged my needle a few times. I miscounted, and by the time I'd sort of miscounted and realised that it was all going terribly, terribly wrong, I got very frustrated with myself and sort of threw it away with disgust. It's that bad. I'm going to show you what the back looks like, right? So, ladies, all you very experienced people out there, please, don't all fall around laughing or off your chairs, okay? So, just give you some warning. This is what I ended up with. I mean, it's horrific. It was that bad. So at first, I was really quite put off by the whole thing and was thinking, this isn't, maybe this isn't for me. I've not got the tolerance for it. Then then I think I watched one of Miss Milky Bar Kids and Caroline's videos regarding, you know, stuff that hasn't got backstitch, stuff that isn't complicated, stuff that is just little X's. And then she mentioned Heaven and Earth Designs. And then obviously when you look on there, there's all the links. All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, because there are a few of you, for someone who has no idea about cross stitch or didn't have any idea about cross stitch, the links down below, they are so helpful. So for people like me who I don't know anything about the designs, I didn't really know about sort of what options you've got. So helpful for me. So basically clicked on those, and that was when I looked and saw Heaven and Earth Designs. I was wowed by it, and I'm like, oh my God. But just like they say, it's not complicated. It's not complicated in the respect there's no special stitches, there's no backstitch, there's not really much of anything for you to worry about. It's just a case of making sure you count right. And the beauty of those is if you did do one colour in the wrong square, it's not really going to notice that much. It's only if you completely go wrong that it's going to be obvious. You know, other than that, you could just say it's a bit quirky and, you know, the odd little mistake it won't kill the project. So, because then we get into the realms of floss. Well, I thought, well, it's easy, it's floss, isn't it? You know, same as what comes in the kit. Which is fine until you go online to try and find the floss that you need. Oh my God. I had no idea what I was looking for. I thought, well, there's only one type of floss. Well, there's not. There's thousands. There's millions of them. They're all different. You know, and then it starts getting into, you know, DMC, Anchor, you know, and then Pearly. I mean, I didn't know what floss I needed. So, again, thank you so much for the information. You might think that, you know, everybody that's sort of watching your videos knows what floss you use and what floss they need. But for someone like me who's never done cross stitch and really didn't have any idea that there was that many versions of floss, thank you so much, because you enlightened me immensely. So anyway, rambling on, I thought this might happen. I decided that I needed to pick a design, one that I was really, really, really in love with, but also something that didn't have anything that was too complicated as far as backstitch, specialised stitches, or anything that was really going to complicate it. And that was when I found that there's this magic guide, 18 count Ada and 25 count even weave, and it's got little magic lines on it. Well, all I can say is thank God for DMC Magic Guide, especially for me. I have looked at the gridding, something I'm probably going to consider doing. I've got some, is it sulky silk threads ready, and I've got some plain even weave 25 count, and some others, but I've really not got there yet. I'm a bit sort of worried about that. So I decided that I needed something sort of that I was really going to enjoy doing. Only problem was, with the fact that my neck and my arm was an issue, what didn't help, I think, with that first disaster, was the fact that I was holding a hoop. And obviously, I couldn't really hold the hoop, and it was trying inch cut to work out where my hand was behind everything, and then go. So it was painstakingly slow. I mean, wow, you've probably seen children do it faster than I did. And I sort of was thinking, it's the holding thing. The holding thing is a problem because it's hurting my shoulder, it's hurting my neck. And then I was watching a video and someone was talking about stands. And they were all rocking up about the stands and the scroll frames, and that you don't have to hold it, it just sits there, and you can use your hands from both sides. And I was thinking, well, maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's something I need. So anyway, my husband was watching what I was watching, and he went, that'll be a good idea for you. He said, definitely. So in his wisdom, love him, he decided that he wanted to order me the best of the best. What do you think he ordered, ladies and gents? No, not a Lowy stand, not something that was cost effective. He ordered a full kit from Needle Needs, Manilium frames and stands. But in the interim, he turned around and said, well, there's a big long wait for those. I have placed an order and you're on a wait list. He said, so in the meantime, he said, I'm going to buy you the Lowry stand. So he did. So I had a Lowry stand and I had a, I don't know what type of scroll frame they were. But that then put me into a realm of a whole new thing. So at that point, cross stitch sort of come alive. And by this time, I'm started to learn a bit more about even weave and, you know, how you starts and the stops. Because before that, the only start and stop was the YouTube video that said something about a waist away knots. I didn't really get on with that, if I'm honest. And then all of a sudden, I found out about the loop start method and was just like, I'm in heaven. So we progressed. So we did move along. So we moved along to, I decided I was going to get a Heaven and Earth design. But I didn't really want to pay for one because it was going to be a nightmare. So I decided that I'd try one of the freebie Heaven and Earth designs. So when I went onto the website, they had Heaven and Earth Design Fairy Day 2010 Snow Queen. So that one. Ooh. She's so pretty. And as soon as I saw it, it wowed me. So at that point, I was thinking, now I've found something that I really, really like. Ordered in all of the threads, because by that point I knew what the flosses were all about, and stuck them all on bobbins and stuck them in my special little kit box. So, all bobbinated, look, see? Well organised. So I did that, and then I started to make a start on it, which, if I can find it, I'll show it to you. Hold on a moment. Hold that thought, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what? It's over there. So bear with me one moment and I'll be right back. Okay. So, by this point, I think I sort of got the gist. And the fact that, like you say, it is just little X's, it made it so I could get my head around it a bit better. So, with the magic guide, which is heaven in itself, I made a start. And this is where I got to. She says, if she can work out which way around it is. Yeah. So I started off just doing the little crosses in one colour as far as I could go. I wasn't really getting on with that. I wasn't really feeling the love for it. And then I saw, I think it was Carolyn. She done a video where she was showing about her parking. I think and Rachel X Stitch. And it was literally that you do a square and then you park your thread. So you do one 10 by 10 square on the 18 count and then you park it underneath in the next square so it's ready. So there's not all this stop and start, but then you don't have to sort of go, like you say, cross-country stitching, where it's so easy for me to lose my way because I just found 10 by 10, I can cope with that. Anything more than that, and it's really starting to go wrong. So once I sort of looked into that a little bit more and watched a lot more videos, I decided that since I'm a newbie, I haven't got a clue about it anyway, and don't really know, I haven't got a way of doing it, I'll just try the parking method, because at least that way the threads will all be there ready for me. And this is where we got to. So that's my work in progress. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. And there's all my park threads. Now, believe it or not, everyone that's, I joined a couple of things on Facebook, and all these people sort of talk about parking and be like, oh my God, it's so complicated, it's so hard. Do you know what? For me, it's not. This made sense. The whole counting loads and loads along and going across pages and across that complicated it, and that made it so that no matter which way I tried to do it, I'd do something wrong and have to unpick the whole thing and start all over again. At least with this, for me, it was like 10 by 10 trees on, and then just look at the next 10 down and see if there's a space. I mean, to be honest, the backs of these, apparently it doesn't matter what they look like, so I will carry my thread as far as I like, or as far as the thread will carry me. Obviously, I don't think that works on any of the other ones. But like I said, I'm completely new. I haven't got an idea. I've just gone with what works. But I've only been able to do that based on all of the YouTube videos that I've watched, because I've had no one to actually say, oh no, you're doing that wrong. You need to do that like this, or have you thought this, or have you thought that? I think when you're out there on your own and you're learning it, you can take on board everyone's ideas and the ways they do it, but until you try it yourself, what works for one won't work for someone else. So that was my first, so that's the first whip. I do have a whip, ladies and gents. And as you can see, I did get my sewing machine out, and I stitched the sides. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if any of you can tell me. You start talking about overlocking. I haven't got a clue what that is. I just thought if I put a zigzag line in, it can only go as far as a zigzag. If you know anything otherwise, then please post, let me know. But yeah, so first whip ever in my life. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So that's the first one that I've actually managed to do. Then I decided, you know what, I want to do what they do, because I think you can get bored of working on the same project, on the same thing, day in, day out. And the fact that I'm probably really quite slow, or was quite slow, I thought, you know, there's only so many weeks I can work on the same colours without thinking, God, it's really not moving very fast at all. So then I decided that I do what you guys were doing, where you had sort of like different ones that you sort of rotate round and sort of try different ones. So then I decided that I was going to pay for a Heaven and Earth design. And I think that was when I'm not quite sure when that was. That one I started, I think, end of September, beginning of October. So yeah, it must have been about the 2nd or 3rd of January, and I got a new one and ordered some flossing from so-and-so. It's just so much easier, because once I knew what floss I was looking for, and I ordered the whole lot in, so that it all arrived together. And I decided that I would do another Heaven and Earth design, because I was finding it much easier, because it just was crosses. If you put one in the wrong place, it didn't matter. You know, it's unlikely to really spoil it, because there's so many different colours in them that one colour out isn't really going to kill it, I don't think. But that's my interpretation. You guys might think otherwise. So I decided that I would then try a different one, which, once again, there we go. I downloaded Faces of Fury 193, Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Can't even say her name. That's what she looks like. Beautiful. And as soon as I see it, she just pops and was like, oh wow, that's amazing. I like that one. So that's the one that I wanted to do. And this is where we're at. She's still on my frame. Let me tighten it up in my lovely Manelium frame. And that's her now. So I've worked on her from the 2nd of January. And obviously now that I'm starting to get back on my feet, and as you can see, I can move my head a bit more now, and I can move around. So I'm getting out and about a bit more, and obviously going physio and appointments. So I'm not getting to stitch as much as I would like on her. And then I thought, well, you know, I will be going back to work soon. I'm phasing back into work now, so do a few hours at home. And I was thinking, well, it's all very well and good doing it on a frame, and the frame is, I mean, it's helped so much. I mean, I really don't think I could have done cross stitch if I'd have had to hold it at the time when I first did it, because I physically couldn't do it. And then obviously having the frames and being able to sort of stitch with two hands, so that I had one hand that didn't really move too much, that was amazing. Again, I think because I've learnt two-handed, I don't really know any other way of doing it. But then I decided, well, you know, when I go back to work, this is all going to get a bit more tricky, because obviously I can't take a massive, great big frame on a train for 2 hours in each direction. I don't think the man next to me on the train is really going to appreciate when I'm sort of stitching over his face. So I decided that I would have a look at some of the magazines on my iPad and see if I could find some little designs to sort of practice, see if I could get the gist of it. So my first ever little one, which I've actually done in a tiny little frame, in a little hoop, sorry. They're a tricky little sucker, aren't they, those frames? The little hoops. Trying to get the fabric in, stopping the springy thing from springing out and disappearing across, I had flying springs everywhere. So this is my actual first and only finish. See, my little Easter card thing. Do you know what? If I'm honest, this was a million times harder than my Heaven and Earth designs. It's so fiddly. It's little, it's tiny, but all that start and stop and ending threads and the back stitch, I don't like back stitch. I don't know. Maybe I do, but because I haven't got my head around it or how you do it as such. But it was a lot more fiddly, and I found it to be so much harder to work on a little hoop. So for all you ladies out there that just work on hoops and you just sort of do the stabbing method, like one in, one out, all with the same hand, you're rocking, because I end up stabbing all the way over the fabric and sort of all over the place before I find the hole that I need. So I don't know if there's a certain way that you do it, or whether it just comes with practice. But yeah, so first finish ever. I don't think that's bad. And I found that harder than my bigger projects. So that's that one. Kitting up. Obviously, once you start looking at Heaven and Earth designs, it's so hard not to go absolutely bonkers. Obviously, I can't really say much about stash because I don't really have a stash as yet. Although I say that, but I have kitted up ready for some more. So I suppose you could class that as sort of a stash. I've not really quite got to the fabrics yet, because at the minute it's sort of, I'm all about Heaven and Earth designs because it's just little X's. There's nothing special that I need to know, and I can do little 10 or 20 by 20 boxes without sort of breaking into a sweat or panicking that it's all going wrong and that I'm going to have to frog it all and cut some stitches out. I have had to do it. That's a bit of a nightmare. They don't tell you that bit. But then I decided, well, I want to have some stuff that I've got options with. So if I decide to do something slightly different, I'm just getting bored, and I don't want to end up with too many of those. What is it you call them? UFOs, unfinished projects. So I thought, well, if I've got some variations, I don't mind having a few, but I don't want too many. So the next one that I decided, my husband picked this one. Love him. He's not really into the real girly stuff. He's very much into his scientific-y stuff. Raved about, I think it was Randall Spangler in Heaven and Earth. So I went on there. My husband happened to be looking over my shoulder, and he was like, oh, wow, they're awesome. And he was like, I want that one. So this is the next one that I purchased. So that one is The Universe in a Jar. And for this one, I've gone all out, girls. So here's my little package. All from So&So here in the UK. All my flosses, and that one will be on a 25 count even weave. Now, so far the only thing I've managed to do is full cross. I got some even weave and practiced. Like you said, you need to test your fabric. The problem was, I wanted to do tent stitch, if I'm honest, but I couldn't get my head around it on even weave. I suppose maybe it's because I'm so used to working on like the Ada type material that the even weave I was complicating it. So I'm rather hoping that hopefully I can get my head around it. It might take me just sort of, a few days once I start to sort of remember that I'm just doing half of the square, but it's still a square nevertheless, and look at the 4 actual holes in the even weave rather than the block within an Ada. So I've got 25 count magic count. That's a bit of a pain as well. I've become so used to working on the 18 count, which are 10 by 10 squares, which follow the chart, and you can see a real defined line where the magic guide is. on the 25 count even weave, the blocks are 20 by 20. I know it's only 10 more, but I don't know. I tend to be struggling with that a little bit more. And I can't necessarily see the clear line of where number 1 bar starts and where number 20 bar finishes. It's sort of all a bit... So I think that's going to take some work initially to get my head around it. But like I said, I'm a newbie. I'm like your newbie stitcher. You don't get much more newbie than me. I didn't even know what an Ada was 6 months ago. So anyway, so that one's kitted up, ready to go. I'm sort of trying my hardest to get my Faces of Fury one done first before I actually start on that, because obviously now I've got like 2 whips. I'm going on holiday, a well-deserved holiday, at a sort of a West Africa way, in the next few weeks, and decided that I wanted to take some more of these little things with me on the aeroplane, so that I can sit, you know, by the pool, do a bit of stitching, because there won't be no pool sports for me. The only thing I can do really is lay. So if I'm going to sit in the sun and I'm going to chill, and the fact that obviously I will be looking to go back to work, which obviously it's going to be harder to stitch then with so little time on my hands. So I thought, well, if maybe I can get my hands on some more little bits and pieces like this that I can do when I'm travelling, then it might help me learn how to stitch like with the one hand and hold the hoop. But again, I think it's all trial and error, isn't it, ladies and gents? So the only other one that I've kitted up, well, I say I've kitted up, I haven't kitted up. I bought the fabric and I bought the chart. And it was during the sale, when they had the Heaven and Earth design sale on. I'm sorry about the bag rustling, I wasn't really that organised to do this video. So I decided I couldn't help myself. I saw these and was just like, they're not normally my bag, not my type of thing, but I found it quite comical. I don't know why I found it comical, but it's called Stormy by Critter Valley. And it's like this really cute owl that's sort of being blown around in the wind. It's very British, especially with the weather we've been having lately. So I decided that I'd get that one and kit that. So I've got the fabric for it, but I do have that. So yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, thank you all so much for introducing me to this wonderful world of cross stitch. I think this is now going to be a new hobby of mine. The consultants have already said my sport, I can still do sport, but I won't be doing it anywhere near to the same level that I'm used to, and especially not anytime soon. So I think, in actual fact, I should really say a massive thank you to you all for introducing me to it. I found it's really helpful for stress. You just sit and go into your own little world. I've never really done that. I've never had anything where, you know, you come in and you just need to sort of de-stress and calm yourself, whereas I'm finding that stitching is so calming. You just, you know, whatever problems you've got going on, you can sit in front of it and just count stitches. Count stitches. I'm finding it very, very therapeutic. Although I must admit, I am really looking forward to the point where I can, you know, get some finishes and hang them in my house, and I can be proud of them. I've watched a lot of your YouTube videos, whether you've got all these wonderful, wonderful finishes. I'm inspired by that. Whether I'll actually make it and actually finish anything other than a tiny little card thing, I don't know. My plan is to. I'm not sure about the framing malarkey as yet. I think I'm going to be one of those people that has to send it to a framer, because I think I'm doing okay just with the cross stitch for now. But anyway, thank you so much for watching my video. Any comments you've got for me, any tips, always very, very helpful for the newbie. And hopefully I will do another video soon and give you an update and let you know about sort of how my whips are coming on and if there's any new starts. But thank you for letting me join your floss tube gang, and I look forward to doing my next video and watching all the rest of yours. But thanks very much. Take care.